Welcome to today's interview on Brighteon.com. I'm Mike Adams, the founder of Brighteon. And as you know, a lot of people who watch this channel either live in the country right now or are interested in homesteading or moving to the country, getting out of the cities, being more self-reliant. And our guest today, very special guest, I met them at an expo in Central Texas, invited them back to the studio. I'm joined today by the Texas Boys. And the dad here is TD, and one of his sons, Matt, joins us. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Absolutely. Well, welcome. I mean, thanks for coming out, and you brought your whole family. They're hanging out in the green room watching this. But you have a really impressive family.
Well, thank you.
I mean, practical, hands-on. You've got 6 kids.
Yeah, 6 kids.
Okay,
yeah.
And they're awesome. I mean, different ages, but very practical. So tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what you're doing and where you're from, because you're not actually from Texas originally.
Yes, so we strategically relocated from the Northeast about almost 10 years ago now. And, my wife and I, we met in college, and we both grew up in neighborhoods, and we got married, we started having children, and we just started noticing a societal shift. And what's very interesting is we just had a weather event here in Texas that it was straight line winds or an ultra gigantic tornado or some machination of something or other. And it knocked out an enormous amount of power for a very long time. Well, a very similar event happened 12 years ago. And it was a derecho. What it did is it knocked out the power in our area. And in the Northeast. In the Northeast. And when these gas stations didn't have power, people started losing their mind. Nobody was prepared for anything.
Yep.
But not only was nobody prepared for anything, the cultural and societal construct immediately evaporated. There was no Southern hospitality, so to speak. And
not in the Northeast, no.
No. And so it was actually that event 12 years ago that when I came home from work, I said, "Babe, we really should think about moving."
No kidding. That was the wake-up call.
Yeah, because what happened is I had to get some gas for one of my guys. I was working a job. I own a construction company. And I drove up the street. It was a 2-lane highway. I drove up the street to the first gas station that had gas. Well, and the lines were backed up, and it was kind of like bedlam, and people were cursing. Now, thankfully, in the Northeast, you can't own a firearm, so you didn't have to worry about anybody pointing a gun at you.
Well, but the criminals.
Well, they have. So
gun laws never stop the bad guys, right?
Right. So I got the gas, and I had to pull out. Well, there was a concrete median, so I had to go north. So I get northbound. Well, I go to the next gas station, and it's like business as usual. Everything is normal because nobody thought to oh, well, this gas station has power, so everybody went there, And that was really wow, people didn't even realize that if they just continued up the road 5 more miles, everything was much more normal, and everybody there was losing their mind. And
wow, okay, so was your wife on board then with this idea of let's leave home and venture out into rural Texas and start over?
Yeah, it was definitely a mutual decision that we came to collectively, and just with a lot of prayer and study, we really felt that the Lord was telling us to move for a magnitude of reasons, because having 3 young children, we would talk about well, how will our children ever be able to afford property here? How will they be able to just afford basic living, and even let alone any kind of legacy or future or property? And this was before we ever even thought about farming. Now, we did always have animals, and we had goats and chickens and different things like that. But we never really ever thought about we're going to farm and we're going to have cows and we're going to grow all our own food and we're going to be 80 to 90% self-sufficient. We never even considered that that was a possibility when the whole thing started.
Yeah.
But it seems like you're way ahead of the curve when you made that decision. You came here. How old were you, Matt, at that time?
I just turned 11 when we got down here to Texas.
Oh, okay. Were
Yeah.
you okay with the move?
Yeah, we were all on it. All
Really?
of us little kids, yeah, we were
Yeah.
ready to go. Ready to leave.
Were you surprised how much work it takes to live in the country?
Definitely. Now we did have some chickens and goats and different things like that. And when we moved down here, it was kind of funny since we were little and we thought about Texas. We thought it was going to be like the Wild West, tumbleweeds and everything. And we get here and we're like, well, it's Northeast Texas too. And we're like, it's just the pine current. It's all pine trees, you know?
Yeah.
We're like, this is Texas? You know? This
Yeah, it's not like
paradise
in the
down
movies,
here?
right?
Yeah.
So anyway, no, but yeah, it was absolutely incredible just being able to run out we were able to run out as little kids outside in the backyard, go play in the woods, in the mud, and just explore. And we were able to build with our own hands. And we built our first chicken coop down here out of pallets and all types of stuff, and just learning all types of new skills every day. And since we're all homeschooled and everything, we had all the time in the world. So it was a lot of fun.
And you now, I mean, both of you have videos on your channel, The Texas Boys.
Yeah.
I think you're on YouTube and other places
Yes,
as
sir.
well.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of helping to evangelize this lifestyle, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what kind of feedback do you get from people? I mean, have you influenced other people to make that same move?
Yeah, we hope so. You know, we have about almost 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. We have a couple different channels. Then we are on Rumble and Odysee. And we get a lot of feedback. We meet people in real life that say, "Oh, hey, you motivated me to do this or to make this change."
Yeah,
and you know, the biggest thing that I tell people is do it now.
Just do it.
You have to do it, now, regardless of whatever. I mean, our decision that we made was very. We made it very rapidly. And we just did it. We didn't know anybody in Texas. We had never been to Texas.
Really?
Had no contacts. We found 2 rental properties on Craigslist.
You didn't have a job lined out. Nothing.
Wait, why did you choose Texas then? How did you?
Well, we were hard school homeschoolers, and then I very much appreciated the Second Amendment. So we said we're going to base our decision majorly around, one, Southern culture. So we knew it was going to be the South. We knew we wanted a longer growing season. We wanted it to be warm because in my opinion, it's easier to exist and survive if it's warmer versus if it's colder. You get a little more autonomy in like Alaska and whatnot, but it's incredibly difficult to survive there.
Plus you get 2 growing seasons.
Yeah.
You get spring and fall.
Yeah.
Correct.
But then, of course, intense heat
Right.
right now, which is not a growing season.
No, it is not.
Okay, cool. So you chose Texas on purpose.
Yeah.
You moved out with, at that time, your 3 sons.
Yes. Yep.
And are all 3 of your sons also part of your channel now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, us 3 brothers actually started the YouTube channel.
Okay.
So it actually, we saved up one summer back when I was 11, and it was like the year we moved on to the homestead. And so it was about 7-8 years ago now. And we went ahead and we bought like a little, not super knockoff GoPro for $20.
Yeah.
And we just started filming from there, just every little, our chores and different things like that. And then somehow we were able to con our mom into starting a YouTube channel. Don't know how that all happened, but she was gracious enough for us to do that. And it's been the biggest blessing in the world because now we can go back after 1,200, 1,300 videos that we posted up there. And we're able to go back and see what it was like, 8 years ago. And it's incredible what we've been able to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And because you learn something every day with this lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you realize this, but a lot of people around the country look at the life you're living and they really, really admire it.
Yeah.
And they almost feel maybe a sense of jealousy. A lot of people are stuck in
Sure.
a city
Yeah.
situation, either with a job
Yeah.
or a family member, or they're just, it's just too much to try to start over
Sure.
somewhere else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So they're probably looking at you and thinking, wow, you really
Yeah.
made a good call and you're figuring it out. But there's also, like, nothing's easy
Right.
No,
either.
absolutely not.
Talk to us about that, man.
Yeah, the thing is that it's a lot of hard work. I think not enough people cover that on YouTube with their homesteading thing. They kind of gloss over the super hard work part of it. You get
Yeah.
these Pinterest homestead people,
Right, like,
and
here's my chicken coop, and it's all clean and beautiful. Oh, really?
With
There's
twinkle lights.
I've never seen one like that before. Yeah.
twinkle lights and no chicken poop on the floor.
Right.
Yeah, like,
right. Where do you
what-
find that?
So no, it's hard work, and but it's very gratifying work. That's the beautiful thing. It's not just hard work. It's very gratifying work. At the end of the day, you can sit back and look at what you've done that day,
Yeah.
and it just is very, very gratifying. And yeah, from a young age, us brothers just started working and going around the homestead, learning different skills like cutting down trees and mowing the grass and different things like that. And just learning the skills. But yeah, for people out there, you just got to get out there and do it. And, we came down here to Texas with nothing. We let our house foreclose up there.
Really?
In the north. Yep. Let her foreclose. It was all remodeled and fancy and everything like that. Let it foreclose. We brought down 2 beds,
Two mattresses.
2 mattresses.
Mattresses, yeah.
Mattresses, and our food storage in 5-gallon buckets.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
Mylar bags.
some clothes and different things like that in a 8x12
8x12 one-way U-Haul.
one-way U-Haul.
Wow. You weren't going back.
Nope. It was a one-way shot.
No turning back.
All brand new appliances. They stayed in the house, and we found 2 rentals on Craigslist. And it's really funny because you drive 2,000 miles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, the rental's got to go back, right? So you go to the first rental, and it
Ooh,
was
it's
kind of
scary.
scary.
It's
You know what I
super
mean? You're like,
Really?
oh man, we just drove 2,000 miles, and this is kind of scary. It was,
Yeah.
it
Was
was
it
like
like a little house or?
yeah, it was
apartment or
just
what?
it was like a little kind of farmhouse, but it wasn't well maintained.
And it was right next to a really like creepy RV park thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't in like the best area. It wasn't in a bad area though.
No.
But so we hit that one and we're like, that one ain't gonna work. So then we went to the next one, and the next one was a
Well, it was funny. As soon as we pulled up to it and started going down like a decently long driveway, we're like, this is it. We didn't see any houses.
and there was
it's
Longhorn out there.
longhorns
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
cows
Yeah,
and
they're
fields.
like,
We're
this is what we're looking
This is
for.
it.
Yeah,
This
Yeah,
is awesome.
We love Longhorns here.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you escaped the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
On the first night, and that's
was
when you get to Texas, you're supposed to bring a gun.
Right. That's exactly right.
Otherwise, you don't really qualify.
No, that's right.
Or one of these battle axes that I'm showing you right here. All right, so let me ask you a question then, TD. And I hope you don't mind this, Matt, but let me just say, I observe your boys and your family. They appear to be of sound mind. They're polite, which is very unusual in society today. Like, it seems like boys that you brought up, right? You and your wife. Wife's got to get credit too, right?
Much more than me.
And yet we live in a society today where teenagers, especially indoctrinated in the school system,
Yeah.
they completely disrespect their parents. They
Yeah.
think their parents don't know anything.
Yeah.
They think that they're totally brainwashed on all the things, culture,
Yeah.
trans, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they come home and their parents don't even know them. And that's not a family anymore.
No.
But what you have is actually a family, a traditional American family.
Yeah.
That's a treasure beyond measure.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, that was the hope and the goal, and it's one of the reasons why me and my wife and I both went to government school.
Yeah.
We both detested it. We both hated it. And we made the commitment. Well, if God's going to bless us with children, we're going to teach them, right? And we don't want, and this was 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when we were in government schools, and it was detestable back then.
Yeah.
I know some people try to paint it like it was cooler in the 80s and 90s, but public school was never cool. At least not for me. I mean, so we made the sacrifice. You know, enough people don't. The two sacrifices we made is we said we're gonna homeschool our children, and my wife is gonna stay home and do that, and she's gonna keep the home, and she's gonna perform their traditional role that American women performed for a century or so. You know, and because for any country, society to continue to exist, the next generation must be raised and reared and forged properly in order for society to continue on a normal level. Now, you forsake that, you'll get purple-haired things that are unfamiliar with what their pronouns are.
Yeah, right.
And, you know, you get, what do you get? You get mass confusion, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's, you know, it's the same thing with like moving to the country and choosing like an agrarian, more simplified lifestyle. It's amazing how all of it kind of goes hand in hand.
Yes, isn't it?
And that's what's really interesting is when you start to take the step and make the decisions, you're like, different things in your life start to align. Just like as a Christian, you know, different things as you're doing agrarian type like husbandry, whether it's with fruit trees or grafting or whatever, you'll see these illustrations in scripture. And then as you're participating in it, you're like, oh, I understand that even more now, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when God created man and woman, you know, he created man, and then he took woman from his rib, you know, to be a helpmeet. So there is that order, and that God created order. The only way for it to be maintained is to continue. And the problem with postmodern, post-truth society, it's not just America, is that order has been categorically rejected. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And you know how it's been done? It's been through satanic sacrifice, and that's the sacrifice of our children on the altar of propaganda.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And here we are in, quote, Pride Month right now,
exactly.
which is a state-sponsored celebration of pedophilia.
Yeah, exactly.
And Satanism.
Yeah.
With all the symbolism that goes with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, I know you're a big picture thinker, so you're thinking about the sustainability of the human race and of your family. So what about you, Matt? I mean, how old are you, can I ask?
18.
You're 18, okay.
Yeah.
So at some point, you know, you're going to want to have a family.
Correct.
How do you find someone who has the values that you have, and not just that, but, you know, pardon me for bringing up biology, but can actually reproduce? Because so many women today, they've taken the spike protein jabs, they've been indoctrinated into the chemicals, they are not fertile.
Yeah.
And a lot of men are not fertile because of the same reason. So the future of the human race depends on young men like you finding young women.
Other pure bloods.
Yeah, other pure bloods, exactly. So what are your thoughts on that, if you don't mind me asking?
My thoughts on it are on trying to find a spouse in 2023 and on it's definitely going to be a tricky thing to do, 100%, because there's not a lot of them left out there that haven't been brainwashed into all this new think and woke stuff that they're spreading around. And I've met several young people over the past years, and you know, it's sad to see what's been going on, and it's really sad for being a young adult / I guess teenager or whatever to see our generation, my generation, fading away, falling away, and it's really sad, and rebelling against God. But I don't know. We're gonna see here. I'm kind of gonna be living proof of it here. So I don't know how to do it just yet. So I don't have the answer to that.
Well, I mean, that's an honest answer.
Yeah.
But I'll add, I think that what we're living through right now is also very temporary, because anytime society turns against God. That doesn't last. Very, you know, there's a fall.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then
Correct.
people often, at least as in the Bible stories, people return to God. They beg God.
Yeah, hopefully they
Lord
repent.
willing.
Yeah.
Right. And then God blesses them with abundance
Yeah.
and you know, life yet again. And that lesson keeps being repeated over and over again. But what we're living through right now, it can't last. It's not sustainable.
No, correct.
Absolutely not.